Without, right with frog leopard. With frog leopard. Yes, down up through the band, right? Left and right. I finally got it. Get a bunch of calls.
We called the Winterville Planning and Zoning Board for June 13th to order. We welcome each and every one of you board members. We appreciate you making the adjustments for our change of time or in honor of the holiday next Monday during our regular meeting. Do we have any excused absences?
No, sir.
All right, next order of business, approval of the agenda. You've had the agenda sent to you. You had a chance to review the agenda. What is the pleasure of the board?
Motion approved.
Second.
Been moved in properly second. All those in favor use the voting sign of aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay. All right, new business. First item, Reedy Branch Farm final plat.
Good evening, board. All right. So, we have the Reedy Branch Farms final plat as the first item on the agenda tonight. You'll find this, looking pretty familiar. We actually did the preliminary plat a couple of months ago to ensure that direct driveway access onto a minor thoroughfare would be available. Because of that, council approved it, and so this essentially mirrors that preliminary plat that we had. It's located on Reedy Branch Road, roughly 1,800 feet east of Reedy Branch Road in Ernest Lofton. I'll show you that in a little bit more detail as we get closer. It's a 15.21 acre site. It's agricultural residential, and they're proposing 4 lots. Again, the preliminary plat that was approved at the May 8th council mirrors this final plat. This is the location of the site. It's just a little bit east of Ernest Lofton Road on Reedy Branch Road in the southernmost portion of the Winterville jurisdiction. This shows the 4 lots and how they are proposed to be laid out. How it fits on the site as well. Again, this reflects the preliminary plat. Staff is recommending approval of this final plat. If anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to answer. Thank you.
Any questions or discussion from the board? What is the pleasure of the board regarding the final plat?
I make a motion to approve it.
Yes.
Been moved and properly second. All those in favor use your voting sign of aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Okay, final plat. Next item, rezoning request.
All right, a little bit more popular, it looks like, tonight than the first one. We have a rezoning request that has been submitted to the town of Winterville. This is the location is on 139 Vernon White Road and 4319 Winterville Parkway. This is the northeastern corner of Winterville Parkway and Vernon White. Again, we'll get a little bit more details into it right here in a second. It's actually 3 parcels in total with a 12.46 acre site. Current zoning is agricultural residential. They are proposing a general business zoning district. Notification was placed on this site May 23rd. Adjacent property owners were mailed notification of this rezoning request on May 25th to inform them of this meeting tonight. If you can see the screen up there, this shows the location of the site. This is, again, the northeastern corner of Vernon White and Highway 11. So it's kind of a interesting intersection where Davenport Farm Road comes together with Old 11, Vernon White, Winterville Parkway, which is also referred to as Highway 11. Just north of it is what we commonly refer to as Ainge Plaza, so the area that you've probably seen a lot of dirt turning lately for the Lowe's Foods. This is the rezoning map, again, just showing the bounds and location of the site. So if we're looking at the existing land use plan, existing land use map of this site, as you can see in this, on this particular site that we have, is showing single-family residential currently. It's a little slightly outdated because recently this parcel went for a special use permit for a bed and breakfast up to 6 beds. So this bottom piece is still showing single-family residential, but it's slightly changed from what the map shows. North of it is greatly commercial. The areas that are not red represent undeveloped commercial. A lot of that has either plans or, again, as you've seen, moving some dirt. The western side, if you go across Highway 11, all of that's commercial. To the south, you have single-family residential, small pockets of commercial on the kind of little pizza slice between Old 11 and Highway 11 as well. The current zoning, again, if you're looking at the site in question tonight, it is currently agricultural residential. Agricultural residential was greatly placed on sites to eventually become either something else or it was farmland at the time of the adoption of the zoning ordinance. So typically you'll see agricultural residential in Winterville's jurisdiction as either farmland or large residential properties that have been there prior to the adoption of the zoning ordinance as we currently have. North of this property, as you see with all of this red is general business. To the west of the property is all general business, and down to the south along Highway 11 as well. East of the property is a mostly single family. You have some general business that touches a small portion of the property, small portion of office and institutional as well. So south of this property is R20 in this purple. This tan, again, is agricultural residential. Then all of this is general business to some extent. Some of it is general business conditional district, and then multifamily just below that as well. The future land use plan suggests that this area is split, and on the next slide I'll give you the exact acreage. So roughly about 6 acres of the 12 acres is proposing neighborhood center. The other 6 acres is proposing regional center. Now what that means is a neighborhood center is context-appropriate commercial, retail services, professional offices, and occasionally residential if it's in the right location. Again, you can have small lot residential, patio homes, maybe even attached residential if it's a site that makes sense. Regional center is high to medium intensity commercial, retail, lodging uses that act as a regional activity center with offices. Residential can go in there, but again, only if it's really a site that makes sense. And these locations are mostly auto-oriented destinations with either national or regional businesses typically. 6 acres of the site is regional center, 6.4 acres is neighborhood center. Diving a little bit deeper into the character areas. First, the neighborhood center. These centers have small-scale retail, restaurants, and offices that are typically there to serve the surrounding neighborhoods. There may be other high-intensity uses, but mostly this is a commercial site. You can have some residential as well if it suits the site, as mentioned before. Typically, what is suggested as a zoning in these districts is general business, commercial neighborhood, office and institutional, or intermediate commercial. Possibly, again, if it's a unique site that fits something different, then possibly central business, R8 residential 8,000 square foot lot, R6 residential 6,000 square foot lot, or multifamily residential. You typically see these in this character area, the uses are neighborhood serving commercial uses. You see something like a grocery store, restaurant, retail service-oriented businesses that anchor, this type of land use. Now, there could, again, be multifamily or other types of residential in proper areas. The regional center, diving a little bit deeper into that, these are larger auto-oriented commercial areas that serve the regional market with high-intensity shopping centers. With good design, they can provide a pleasant outdoor and indoor shopping experience that complements the surrounding community as commercial, retail, and service activity centers. This is typically kind of what you're seeing on Beacon Drive with the developments that you see there. You've got a grocery store, you've got a mixture of restaurants and different uses that are all commercial, but not something that you'll typically see people walking to as you would in the downtown area. The potential zoning that is suggested in our future land use plan is general business. Now, it says you can possibly consider office and institutional, intermediate commercial, commercial neighborhood, or multifamily in the right context. But generally, you're looking at general business. The uses are for commercial, regional nature types of businesses. Again, some big box type stores or chain restaurants, other highway-oriented uses, including hotels or multifamily uses, again, in the right location. Some of the goals that Winterville's land use plan and comprehensive plan suggests is to strengthen and diversify the economy, to encourage a balanced tax base while managing growth, to utilize the future land use map and character areas when considering land use decisions, as we have tonight, and to encourage non-residential growth in the form of retail, restaurants, professional offices, and industrial development in areas that the future land use plan suggests. Some of the economic development goals mirror that as well, to strengthen and diversify the economy, to emphasize retail, office, light industrial, and other commercial development, especially along Winterville Parkway, also known as Highway 11, and other appropriate areas. We also are looking to become more self-sufficient as a town, adding residential along with other commercial uses to create a diverse economy and a self-sufficient economy. And to transform from a bedroom community into a neighboring community of Greenville as stated in the plan itself. It also states to discourage rezonings to residential districts in high visibility corners with good access and parcels that are high visibility with great access, such as we have tonight. Another economic development strategy is to focus on business recruitment, expansion, and retention. To encourage and support local businesses, especially in expansion efforts. Attracting commercial developers is extremely difficult. It's extremely competitive. Believe it or not, Winterville goes up against everybody on the East Coast for the most part. And we're talking about Charlotte, we're talking about D.C., we're talking about Atlanta. We're even talking about smaller towns like Newbern. When you have somebody local who's considering doing it, it's something that is a lot more of a tangible project, and something that's certainly worth growing in the town of Winterville. We've received 2 phone calls. Both stated that they were just curious of the proposal. One actually stated before hanging up that they did not care one way or another which way it was rezoned. They were more curious about what the sign represented that was posted on the piece of property. So this, to kind of come to a conclusion with the staff recommendation here, this 12.46 acre property is currently underutilized for its location. A single-family residential home and a bed and breakfast that is permitted only up to 6 bedrooms and has access and frontage onto Highway 11, a boulevard classified streets with one of the highest traffic counts and visibility in the entire Winterville-Greenville metro area. Its location is highly valuable as a commercial piece of property. And its prime location and property for Winterville to encourage commercial development. Though there is adjacent single-family residential to the south, the zoning ordinance takes this into consideration. It's actually built for this type of issue. The zoning ordinance has buffer yard requirements that are established to protect and preserve the appearance, character, and value of adjacent properties that may have incompatible land uses or different intensities. Furthermore, if these residential properties were proposed today, it is not something that the subdivision ordinance would allow. Our subdivision ordinance does not, it expressly prohibits the direct residential driveway access onto major thoroughfares. And thus, the subdivision ordinance would strongly suggest to P&Z and council that it should not be granted as designed and developed on the ground today. The general business rezoning request is consistent with the intent and purpose of the zoning ordinance, the future land use plan, and is compatible with the existing development and trends in the surrounding area. Staff's recommendation is to approve the rezoning request of the 12.46 acres from agricultural residential to general business as it is consistent with the comprehensive land use plan. Just to give a little bit of a preview of the future of this, we will have the applicant up and he'll be able to speak, and then we will open up for public comments. The Planning and Zoning Board will then make a recommendation to council, and we are expecting this, if everything falls correctly, to be on the August 14th Town Council meeting to schedule the public hearing, and to actually hold the public hearing would fall on the September 11th Town Council meeting. Again, I'd like to, if anybody has any questions before I invite the applicant, I'd be happy to address them. I'm sorry, the August 14th meeting has actually been changed to August 7th. Is that correct? If anybody has any questions.
So the rezoning is just asking to change it, so the special condition for the bed and breakfast that exists there, that remains, or will that convert?
So that's a great question. Anything that is from the Board of Adjustment actually runs with the land. So regardless of who owns it, what the zoning is on the property, it will actually continue with the land. So they'll still have that. However, if it, in theory, I believe, if they changed it to general business, the bed and breakfast would be automatically available in that zoning district. Since it's currently agricultural residential and going to general business, it's a higher intensity land use.
And the existing structures that are there in that area, you know, being in a general business, what implications does that have? Will that just gives them, if they want to tear it down and sell it, or?
That's correct. It gives them the ability to determine what they may want to do with the property. Again, agricultural residential, whenever somebody comes into the office with a piece of property that says agricultural residential and they say, what can I do with this property? For the most part, it's a placeholder to determine what you may want to do with the property. So for this, again, being on the corner of Highway 11, and access onto Highway 11, which is extremely rare. Most of Highway 11 has controlled access, so DOT will not grant driveway access onto Highway 11, period. It doesn't matter what the use is unless it's already stipulated and what they call a fence cut. This has that access. To have a single-family residential property directly onto Highway 11, they could certainly keep it how it is, but I would suspect they would want something a little bit more intense for commercial use. It's a very valuable piece of property. Did that answer your question?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good.
Any other questions for staff from the board? You said you have the applicant present then?
Yes, sir.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. My name is Scott Anderson. I'm with ARC Consulting Group, and I'm here tonight on behalf of the applicants. We're excited to present this to you tonight, and excited and thankful to have the opportunity for you to hear this request. Stephen did a great job of presenting the request to you and talking you through your land use plan and how this request strongly applies and adheres to your land use plan. The owners of this property see the value in this and also see a great need in the town of Winterville. One thing that I believe Winterville does not currently have is a hotel and event center. And that is the owners of this property desire for this property is to create a destination place, a place that can be used for the community to support its local partners such as Pitt Community College, other local businesses, and create a place where people can come and stay, have meetings, weddings, special events, and that sort of thing. The other thing they want to do is maintain the historical character of the property. So what you see on the screen now is the main part of the property. There are two Gotcha. So the Vernon house is here. Mr. Sanchez's house is here. But the Vernon House has a lot of history. I can remember when my kids were little, riding through the backyard, looking at Christmas lights. Most people, when you talk about Winterville, will recognize that house. So that's important to the neighbor, or to the owners, to be able to maintain that and keep that part of the community. So this is kind of an overall view of what the property could look like. Again, these plans are very preliminary, just kind of a first idea of what they would like to do. But again, we're keeping the Vernon House in its location, adding a community event center in the back, and then these buildings would be kind of a lodge-style buildings that would keep the similar style architecture as to what the Vernon House has currently. As Stephen also mentioned, this property has access to Highway 11, which is very important, and that would be the primary access to and from the property. And obviously the big gray areas out front would be parking areas. So we're trying to keep those as close to Highway 11 and maintain as much of the wooded and historical character of the property.
I'm sorry, we can't. We can't. Once you get up to the public comment section, you can address it. So again, this is the kind of a view of the front of the house as it sits today. And then kind of see some of the ancillary structures in the background. Again, the house as it sits today, and how it could potentially develop around it. So again, this is just a quick overview of what the desire is for the property. Again, we think this is in conformance with the land use plan. It meets many of the goals stated in the land use plan, but I think it provides something that is needed by the community that we don't have right now, and it can be a great asset and for the community. I'll be happy to answer any questions you have.
All right, any questions from the board for?
Yeah, I got one. So potentially, if this was not it, if it was approved to be commercial, then it could still be anything else.
That's
Obviously, right?
That's true.
Yeah, so this is just a temporary plan, but things could change.
Absolutely. This isn't set
Yeah.
in stone. But I think if you know.
I got you. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. And I've had point blank directly ask our clients that many times, because you're right. There's, I want to make sure that what I present, I've been here, been before you for many things, many times, and so it's my reputation that's on the line too. I don't want to present something, give you a bait and switch, so.
What you're saying, basically, you feel confident this is what they intend to do.
Correct.
Any other questions from the board? No. Thank you, sir. We'll now open the floor for public comments.
And tonight, we're going to have 3 minutes per person.
And those who would like to comment, if there's, we ask that you sign your name and also state your name for the board and your residency as to your relationship to the property.
Hello, good evening. My name is John Seiler. I live at 173 Vernon White, just adjacent to the back end there. Been a resident, me and my family just bought that dream home of ours right by adjacent to the property in September. Been a resident for 18 years, own a business that employs 500 people in Winterville, has a residence in Manchester, subdivision for a long time, and own another business right off a fire tower. So obviously, when we bought that and saw the signs, is we want to know what it is and what's going to happen. We know that we have an older home that was carved out before from Vernon White's estate there, and our concerns are this, knowing what's going to happen, but two, for me and my family is, when someone has a redevelopment of this land to commercial, when you drive up there and you see that land and all those trees, what's going to happen? They're going to get taken down. And that's a noise pollution buffer for our house, the neighborhoods, everything there. And I'm not sure if anybody's driven through Vernon White, Old Tar, Winterville Parkway, when school's letting out from the school that time. That is a very congested area and dangerous area already. And so I think this is going to increase traffic and probably the need to widen Vernon White eventually, which is obviously going to impact all the homes that are there along Vernon White and back through that. So obviously we worry about home values, we worry about noise pollution, we worry about the view and the way it looks and all those trees there, especially building all those things back there with Lowe's Food. We already hear Aquaventure every single day after their camps, their noise blaring through across there. So doing something like this would, obviously significantly impact our family. We're for progress. I'm for progress, and it's nothing personal against the owners of this land or anything like that. I'm sure if I was doing this, it'd be the opposite. They'd be here saying, "Hey, don't do that," but we would really like for folks to consider that for those folks that are right there on Vernon White, just those impacts on us and how that's going to really impact the future of our lives. This is our forever home. This is what we bought. This will significantly impact us in many different ways. Sorry, I made some notes, so apologize if I look here too. But the traffic thing really is a concern because that is a big thing and it is a busy place right there. And we're worried about, seeing this right here, this could change.
30 seconds.
Thank you. This could change, and we know that can change. And what this looks like today, which I'm sure with all the great intent, but I see right there, I see a hotel and a lodge that can look right down into my house. I've got a pool with small kids, things like that. So those are concerns of ours, and we would love for you to consider that, but ultimately say that this may not be the best thing for me and my family overall. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, anybody who would like to speak, sure. You can sign up. No, you can.
Good evening, Board. My name is Graydon Tripp. I live at 105 Marion Drive in Greenville, but I own a lot south of this property that's in question. And it's on the old Highway 11 and Vernon White Road as it goes to Tar Road. There's a little strip in there. I've been here numerous times trying to get that little strip rezoned. Every time I've been refused. And so my thing is this. If you can rezone this property, I want you to rezone my property as well. And otherwise, I'm against rezoning this property now. And all I'm asking for is fair treatment. Do you have any questions?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Good evening. My name's Ed Reynolds. I live in the Waterford subdivision. My house backs up to that small strip of land he's referring to on Mill Street. Now, if you go out in the morning on Mill Street and Vernon White Road, we've got two exits out of our neighborhood. The traffic is backed up so far that we can't even get in or get out, excuse me. And it's that way just about every day at 5. I don't see this being as it is now. I would hate to see a dance hall there. You said it's going to be open for different businesses. I hate for another restaurant to be there. I can smell the smoke from Sam Jones. I can smell Mayflower when they're cooking. It depends on which way the wind is. And the lights are right now are really just way too many lights. In my bedroom, with my shutters pulled as tight as I can get them, I can still read a newspaper. I'm counting 14 different street lights, business lights, and they all seem to be shining toward my house. I think they got something against me on that. But anyway, I've been a resident for 27 years in Winterville. You know, it's supposed to be a slice of a good life. And I'd like to keep it that way and vote this down, please. I appreciate it very much. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Donna Smith, and I live at 136 Vernon White Road. This is right directly across the road from me. And seeing what we have now, we had Beacon Drive that was installed with the businesses over there. Before, we had Vernon White Road was jam-packed, and it took you 30 minutes to get out on the road when you went to work in the morning. When Beacon Drive came about, there was different ways you could leave Vernon White Road to get to where you were going. Now, the traffic is horrible on 11, and it's really bad. It's dangerous. The noise, the music, people playing, boom, 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 it shakes the walls in my house. The smoke from Sam Jones comes up in the heat vents, and you smell burned wood chips they burn to barbecue. And then you got Mayflower. But I do please ask you to reconsider not zoning this, because we work very hard for our homes, and it's our dream homes. And this will affect the value and what we've worked for most of our lives. And I do please request you to turn this down, because this man, Vernon White, was the senator. He's a historic landman, or landmark, excuse me, that he served North Carolina. And to see this happening to his home, he would roll over in his grave. I've met him and his wife many times. They're great people, and they're very enjoyed to be around. And I do, please reconsider this. Because this is not only bringing the home value down, it's bringing more trash people are going to throw in the yard, not carrying beer cans, plates, fast food plate bags. So I do thank you for your time. Thank you very much.
Anyone else?
There being no other public comments, we now consider the matter with the rezoning. And just as a reminder, Stephen, this board here does not approve or only makes a approval for a recommendation to town council, who ultimately approves or disallows the actual rezoning of the particular property. So with that in mind, board, what is the pleasure with regard to the request to rezone this property from agricultural residential to?
Can I ask a question of Stephen? Stephen?
Yes, ma'am.
Everybody's expressing concern about the traffic. Do you know of any plans by DOT to do something about that intersection?
I do not know of anything that's necessarily funded. It's been on their, what they call STIP, or, essentially an item that they want to address at some point in the future, but nothing that is currently funded for that intersection. But that is a DOT intersection. They know that it is an intersection of issues, and I believe they should probably be aware that, more development along that area has been likely for the time to come.
Even if this is not approved, that should be done anyway.
Absolutely. And that is, again, that's something that they have as an item to address. It's just funding and prioritization. We are part of the MPO, which is a metro planning organization for our transportation. So you have to kind of prioritize projects and kind of compete. It's very competitive, and obviously anytime you do anything with a road is very expensive and costly. So I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, it does.
Okay, thank you.
Any other question for staff? Again, what is the pleasure of the board regarding the rezoning request before us?
Make a motion to approve the request.
A second.
Okay, we have a motion and proper second. All those in favor of moving the recommendation for the rezoning to the town council, use your voting sign of aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, use the sign nay. Okay, the recommendation stands approved. Henry. Staff report.
All right. So last month, we had a fairly busy month. We had 17 new residential single-family homes submit zoning compliances. One of the busier months this year, at least. So town's definitely continuing to grow. You see a lot of development out there. We have a Chick-fil-A is going to be redoing a little bit of their parking lot to get you in and out of there a little bit quicker. And you know, the Lowe's Foods project is still heavily underway, as well as Aces for Autism. Other than that, there's nothing of great announcement to make right now, but if anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to address as well.
Is the collision place open now? I see they've got their sign and the parking lot paved and everything. Have they officially opened?
I don't know, to be completely honest. So after I do the zoning compliance, for the most part, I pass it on to building inspections, and then I keep doing zoning compliances. So I'm not completely sure, but I know they're really close. In fact, I did the planning's final site visit probably a month ago. It is a really impressive looking site. They did a great job on the building and the site itself.
What is this place?
It's Gerber Collision on Beacon Drive, right beside Aquaventure. Yes, ma'am.
I keep asking this every month. Any updates on the subdivision on Davenport Farms and Reedy Branch out in that area?
No, there's not. I look back because Scott is the lead on that project. So the last time I talked to Scott about it, again, it was probably a couple of months ago. I think they're, working really hard, but I think everybody, just with the growth of Greenville and Winterville and the surrounding area, is so busy. I think they're trying to get all their projects kind of together. So we haven't, as a town, seen it yet. I'm really excited about that neighborhood, though. I think it's going to be something that is, I think some of the newer neighborhoods that we're seeing being submitted to the town of Winterville are going to be really great for the town and going to, be great additions.
And also the Lori Ellis extension west of Mill Street there?
Have not heard anything new on that at this moment.
I have just a comment.
Yes, sir.
Are you familiar with Mr. Tripp's request that he had, has he sent request in the past year about this property he's talking about?
So I have been with the town for about 9.5 years now. Since I have been here, to my knowledge, that piece of property has never come to the board.
Okay.
And I'm fairly confident on that. Oh, they say it has within the past 9.5 years, so it may.
Do you know which property he's referring to, correct?
I know exactly which property they're referring to, yes. Yes.
I would like to, just for staff consideration as you make your recommendations to us, a lot of times when we have these larger groups, community groups who come in, traffic and DOT often are a common factor in there. I would like, with regard to some of the recommendations that the board are placed before us, that at least we can, have or had some conversation with DOT with regard to some of these things, because I think it puts us, and for me, I will speak for myself, sometimes uncomfortably looking at other homeowners, knowing you're right, because I use those same traffic patterns to get out there, and then
I hear what you're saying. DOT makes their decisions based on design. So I will say any planning and zoning board in the entire country is always going to have people say traffic is the issue, not in my backyard. That's something that you're always going to get for everything. With a rezoning, it's not something that DOT would be able to have.
Right, and I'm not saying you can do anything. At least, be prepared to say something to us with regard to, we've reached out to DOT. This is, like you did, it is on their list of to-dos. They just haven't got to it. So, again, when we're looking at these homeowners or these questions comes up, we know that it's going to be an issue. Of course, our task is easier than, say, town council, because all we're doing is approving or disapproving the recommendation.
Right.
And it still moves forward to town council that, ultimately it's their decision. But just again, and just for recommendation or suggestion, that, we at least kind of can address the DOT or traffic concerns that oftentimes comes with these type of meetings.
I'll see what I can add to the future.
I totally agree with you, Mr. Chairman. I think if we could just say as a group, not that we have any influence at all, I understand that, but you never know what a word just to hurry things up or tell them what a problem we have if it comes from a board. I agree with you. If somehow we could do something like that, that would be great.
Any other comments from the board? If not, we entertain a motion to adjourn.
Thank y'all.
Get a motion to adjourn.
Second.
It's moved second. All those in favor, aye? Aye. Any opposed? You're welcome to stay.
I know, right?